I can't hear. My teeth are falling out because of radiation. My knees are worn out, and they've both been replaced. And I can't leave the house without a splash pad. What can you do? Why be ashamed of it? You laugh about it, you make a TikTok about it, and you celebrate it. Because that's what we all are. We're all getting old.
This episode of What's Underneath is made possible with the support of Field, a dating app that allows for more meaningful connections with friends, lovers, or anyone in between.
Can you begin by talking about how you're feeling right now?
I'm a bit giddy. I like the idea of sharing myself because I've had a great life and my life just keeps getting better. So if I have any secret, let's talk about it so it's no longer a secret. When people say you shouldn't behave that way, it's like, this is God-given and therefore good. And I'm not going to abuse it, but I'm also going to play with it as long as I can. The reason I carry this is it reminds me that my breath is what will focus me and allow me to get from that negative, fear-based response to an open, loving, relaxed experience of life, because that's where I learn and where I grow. So many of us have just forgotten that we're supposed to, play.
Can you talk about what your style says about you?
I have never fit in, ever, in my life. Instead of trying to fit in, I've always stood out. My style has just always been my own. I mean, even right now with the witch hat, I think it's just perfect. It's got movement to it. It's like that cone is going to move with the wind. I can't think of any time that I really struggled with who I am except when I got sober. I think, if anything, my style is like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I was the professional person during the day, and I was this wild party animal at night until I got sober, and then everything went together. I'm not ashamed of myself anymore. I don't hide things like that. I don't perform so that if somebody finds out, am I going to be okay? From age 30 on, I had complete and total freedom.
Can you talk about the assumptions that people make about you based on how you look?
Well, I think the funnest one now is people's assumption of what a witch is. They always expect me to be bad. I was the first OT ever to go into private practice. I've always used universal and Earth's powers to treat patients. I realized what I learned in school was not enough. And I just kept looking for tools on how to improve my care. And it took me into the spiritual realm. The assumptions of others that I'm unmotivated if I'm smoking pot. Oh, it's evil, it's the devil's lettuce. Well, that's all political. It has nothing to do with the reality of it. My intention in talking about smoking pot, number one, is it saved my life. And number two, kids think it's a way to lose their mind, and it's not. It's a way to enhance, what you're doing. It's a way to drop the tension and relax and enjoy. What you think of me is none of my business, because so many people behave for other people. We don't behave for ourselves. If I can improve the way I provide service, if I can improve the way I interact with somebody, I want that feedback. But if you're only talking about what you think I should be doing, I think what you think of me is none of my business. And that gave me great freedom.
Did you ever struggle with being different?
I am a man locked in a woman's body, and I never liked the way men objectified women. So it was my duty to objectify men. You know how dogs dominate by going up and doing this on something? I have that deep feeling of It's like this satisfies something in me. I can't tell you what it is. And as a child, you can't do that. You know, I was hanging out with the kids. We were all just out in the desert, and I had my shirt off, and I was told one more time, I can't do that. I was a sensual child, and I was told, you know, not to behave that way. Sex for me is a form of play, and it's God-given. It's good.
Can you talk about what's been a big insecurity?
I always felt like I had to perform to be accepted. My father used to drink every night. I had my first drink at age 10. I'm a very high-level drunk. I was just partying. I wasn't ready to settle down. I didn't marry the first time till I was 30. My husband would always bring drugs into the house and alcohol, and you can't be that entwined in that social group and easily move out of it. Everybody would say, oh, you can drink. It's not affecting you. You know, it took me landing in the hospital with idiopathic pancreatitis after my honeymoon. And I knew that I'll be dead if I keep doing this. Mm-hmm. I told him in January that if you bring more drugs into the house, and of course he did, and so I left. When I got sober, my father got sober. He said, if she can do it, I can do it. In a moment, soon as I understood that that was not all there is to life, I had been play acting, I'd been living out a fantasy, but the reality was filling this hole inside of me, not with alcohol, but with acceptance and loving kindness and being able to be that awkward kid no matter where I was and no matter how I was dressed. And that's why I can come here and take off all my clothes. I'm still that awkward person, but I love me. And I learned to respect me. I spent 17 years entirely sober. Mm-hmm. And at age 47, I got cancer. I lost both of my breasts. It was stage 3. And they gave me a 30% chance of survival. And I did everything that they said. I took all their medicines, I did everything that they did, and then I also kept exercising, kept eating right, doing everything I could. I developed a pain problem that was secondary to chemotherapy. They put me on this tremendous amount of Neurontin, which is an anti-seizure medication, and 40 milligrams of OxyContin. Mm-hmm. And all I did was sleep. I'd rather live my dreams than sleep my dreams. So I went to the doctor and I said, what can I do? I'm asleep all day. And I'd like to stop taking this OxyContin. I hear it's pretty addictive. And he pats me on the head and he says, take your medicine, little girl. That was all it was. I said, well, there's an asshole.
Wow.
I switched doctors. I went home and Googled, how do you get off of OxyContin? And it said slowly and pot helps. So I started smoking pot again. And it helped. And I decreased all of the OxyContin. I got off all of the Neurontin. And I was able to be awake and alive. And I found out the most important thing is when I am not occupying this body, but I am out here in the world creating, my pain goes away. So I spent more and more time out in the world playing and creating than being stuck in my head, listening to all those voices. I started sculpting because I found when I sculpted, it didn't hurt anymore. I think we're all supposed to be playing and we're not playing enough.
And what was it like having cancer? Like when it came to your breasts getting removed, was that a struggle?
It was absolute relief. I was so glad. I had cancer on one side and I said, take them both. He wouldn't do it. I just was insistent that I'm not having reconstruction, I'm having bilateral mastectomies. And if you're not going to do it for me, I'll find somebody who will. Because they were so big. Like a fishtail. They get bigger every time I tell it. But they were hard and fibrous and painful. And to keep that around for somebody else's satisfaction never crossed my mind. I had chronic pain in my right breast, and I got cancer in my left breast. And I'm going, where's the logic in saving the right breast if it hurts all the time, you know? After chemotherapy, I went into male pattern baldness. I have a big bald spot in the back of my head. That's why I always wear it up. I have been so blessed with my husband. My decisions in cancer were my decisions. I don't have to dress for him. I don't have to perform for him. I didn't have to get my breasts rebuilt for him.
We hope you're enjoying this episode with Shelley. And before we get back to it, we wanted to tell you just a little bit more about our very special partner, Field.
If you've been searching for more meaningful connections, questioning parts of your identity, or exploring new parts of your sexuality, Field is a dating app that welcomes it all.
With more than 20 sexuality and gender identity options, everyone has a place on Field.
And so do all types of interests and desires, which members share right on their profiles.
Whether you're looking for a friend, an FWB, or an MMF, there is a community on Field waiting for you.
Mom, do you even know what an FWB and an MMF is?
Friend with benefits, male, male, female. And I was wondering, what about an FFM?
Yeah. Start exploring on Field today and get 30 days of majestic membership for free. Visit field.co/StyleLikeU. That's field.co/StyleLikeU.
And now back to Shelley's episode. Can you take your socks off?
And now we're going to start on the geriatric list of things one must remember. Your arch supports. Can't leave home without them. It's been one laugh after another, including coming here today. When I had breast cancer, I had how many months of, I had 6 weeks of radiation. And what happens when you get that much radiation is all of your lower teeth fall out. We're driving here today and I go, oh my God, I forgot my teeth. We had to turn around and go back and get them. So all I can do is laugh at it because I can't hear. My teeth are falling out because of radiation. My knees are worn out, and they've both been replaced. I mean, and I can't leave the house without a splash pad. What can you do? Why be ashamed of it? You laugh about it, you make a TikTok about it, and you celebrate it. Because that's what we all are. We're all getting old. Should I put them back in or put them on the floor? I am still whole, perfect, and complete, even though my teeth are not anchored down. Whole, perfect, and complete is just a place to start from. If you make mistakes, you're still whole, perfect, and complete. It's just the progress or the next step.
Can you take off your shirt?
Yep. I'm really proud of this. Because for so long, people would see my scars and they'd look away. And I'd feel ashamed because my blouses were too low. So I put a picture of my husband and I dancing on my once cancerous chest. And people now don't look away in shame. They look and they're entertained. And I got a little head always popping over my shirt. And they're red-headed cranes that mate for life.
When do you feel the most beautiful?
When do I feel most beautiful? I feel the most beautiful in my Pilates class. I love what my body does on that megaformer. And I've just gotten so strong that's where I feel the most beautiful. I radiate beauty. I don't think I am beautiful. I think I radiate it. You want to see my bald spot?
Last question. why in your body, in your skin, in your journey, why is it a good place to be?
Because I'm free. I don't feel the restriction of society. I don't feel like I even behave the way medicine told me I was supposed to behave. I really feel great in my body. It's a body temple. It's like, it's my experimental toy. I get to go out and be part of the environment and experience stuff. If I wasn't comfortable in this body, I wouldn't be able to experience this world. And my purpose in being here is so that other people can learn the freedom that I've learned, and to learn to play in their bodies and be comfortable. You see, it's not perfect, but it sure is a lot of fun.
Thank you for tuning into this week's episode of What's Underneath with the Good Witch, Shelley Johnson.
For more episodes, be sure and subscribe to Style Like You.
And don't forget to hit the bell so that you can be reminded of every time we drop a new episode.